Hello, epic viewers from around the multiverse. Prepare to indulge in experiencing sheer bliss, because today another riveting captivating stellar unboxing video is about to be brought to fruition. What item will I be unboxing? What item will I be opening? Without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to elicit the box. What item is encompassed inside this hefty, tangible, bulky box? Let's find out. The nifty box is dilapidated. It's decimated. It's on the cusp of disintegration. Perhaps I'm exaggerating. It's not preordained to disintegrate anytime soon, but it eventually will, as will all tangible objects. Let's move on. So, what item did I prompt? What item did I draw forth? What video game is this? This video game is known by the moniker of Pokken Tournament. Is it a paradigm of perfection? Is it the epitome of resounding perfection? Is it the embodiment of resounding perfection? Let's find out. That's subjective. That's for you to determine. You could assess this game's merits down in the nitty-gritty details to determine whether or not it warrants a premium price. What do I think was my humble opinion? Was my objective opinion? Well, since I'm an avid, devout Pokemon fan, I have a proclivity to buy Pokemon merchandise, therefore I was inclined to buy Pokken Tournament for the Wii U. I'll likely relish the game. I love to revel in playing Pokemon games. Pokemon games have nostalgic value. This game is a fighting game. You're pitted up against various other Pokemon in the fray of battle. Will I prevail? Will I succumb to defeat? Who knows? The future is an enigma. Here's the cover art. Here's the back of the cover art. There are a myriad of Pokemon integrated on the cover art. Do these aesthetics entice me to want to play the game? Of course they do. They embellish the game. Everything is psychological. Everything is cognizant. I'm relegated to the parameters of my own consciousness. I cannot perceive anything outside the scope of my five senses. So, because I'm a visual creature, these visual aesthetics, well, let me revamp that. Because I'm a visual mammal, because I'm a visual sentient being, these aesthetics appease me. They appeal to my niche interests. I love art. I love visual aids. Now, why was I incentivized to pre-order the game? At the time, I procured an Amazon Prime membership. It expired, so my free trial is perpetually over. Nonetheless, I was able to obtain the game for under $52. Having an Amazon Prime membership confers to you a 20% discount, so why not capitalize upon the opportunity? Why not avail yourself of the opportunity? Why not buy the game for $52 when everyone else is paying $65? Or you could defer the purchasing decision and procure the game in the pending future when the price plunges. However, there's no guarantee that the price will plunge rapidly. You may have to wait years for the price to plummet or slump. So let's move on. Let's just open the video game case. Here it is one more time. I'm flaunting the case in front of the camera. You can view all the facets of the case for yourself. Alrighty. And you can experience the joy of unboxing the game vicariously through me. How exciting, right? How engrossing, how enthralling, how stimulating. Alrighty, so what do we have? We have a disc. Is it in mint condition? Is it marred with scratches? Is it unscathed? Is it plagued or tainted with scuffs? Let's find out. It appears to be intact. The integrity of the disc has not been compromised. I can see my own reflection. I look like Drek. So here's the disc. This is what I paid roughly $52. This is what I paid roughly $52 for. It's preordained to disintegrate. It's comprised of a myriad of particles. Particles are fluctuations of energy vibrating at extremely slow frequencies. Therefore, the disc will eventually succumb to disintegration in the pending future, as if matter is waiting to be liberated. But matter is a consolidated form of energy, so I cannot see it at the atomic level, but if you could see this at the atomic level, you would see that this is just energy and not matter. Although it gives off the illusion of being matter because we cannot discern objects at the atomic level with our visual prowess. Nonetheless, it will work until it disintegrates or until it becomes defective. If the game's shoddy, I do not know. I have yet to delve into the game. Of course, we have other items here. We have a mundane, bland, vapid warning manual inundated with black and white text. Nothing intriguing, nothing fascinating, nothing riveting, nothing that'll tickle my fancy. And then, of course, you have the Shadow Mewtwo amiibo card. Every time you want to access the character, you have to scan this in order to upload them into the game. Is it tedious? Is it an encumbrance? Is it a hindrance? Does it agitate me? Does it infuriate me? Does it invoke my anger? Does it imbue me with rage? Well, it's not that much of a big deal, but I would have preferred if he was not omitted from the game. I would have preferred if he was just embedded in the game, and that I would have preferred if he was embedded in the game so that you can access him without having to go through all these protocols. It's ridiculous, but it is what it is. I don't design the system. Of course, the case is devoid of plastic in certain areas. They strive to minimize their costs, always at the consumer's expense, or paying more lofty, hefty premium prices that are exorbitant, and in exchange for our finite monetary assets, we get plastic cases devoid of plastic in various areas. How disappointing. And the cover art can literally slip out. You can maneuver it out of the case if you so choose to. What else? So the game apparently has a roster of roughly 18 to 21 fighters. It's on par with Street Fighter V's roster, and the game itself is not really a feat. Of course, it presents an unprecedented concept. You had Pokemon fan-made games for the PC that you could play, but they don't have as much depth, and they don't have as many intricacies, and they don't have as many novelties as Pokken Tournament. This game may be shallow and diluted and vapid in the context of content, but if its gameplay is streamlined and stellar, then what more do you want? Now, unfortunately, I do not believe it has a CPU versus CPU watch mode. That's a letdown. There's nothing they could really do to rectify that unless they add it later via DLC, but I doubt that will transpire. So, what else? The game has roughly 18 to 21 characters, is relatively disappointing. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 was released amid the early 2000s, either in 2007 or 2008. It had over 150 playable characters. Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution also had a roster of over 80 characters, but a measly modicum of characters is just disappointing, and Namco Bandai did not meet my expectations in that context. I would have preferred if the character roster was prodigious and had at least 1/20th of all the Pokemon characters. Bear with me real quick, I'm just trying to compute how many. I'm just trying to compute the percentage of Pokemon characters this game has in my head. Let's see. So this game has roughly less than 3% of all the Pokemon characters that have been brought to fruition and devised by their respective content creators. So this game has less than 3% of all Pokemon characters, and that number will perpetually dwindle and contract as more Pokemon are released. So it's just disappointing. But at least you can play this game online. Hopefully there's not latency issues. Hopefully this game doesn't have an abysmal netcode. If it does, there's nothing I can do to rectify that. Hopefully they'll release patches to remedy issues and remove impurities that stifle and encumber gameplay. What else? The matches are randomized. I don't think you can set your opponents that you want to be pitted up against. Nonetheless, despite its salient shortcomings, at least it has merit in the context that you can finally play a Pokemon fighting game on the consoles that's not Super Smash Bros. For Wii U or Super Smash Bros. Melee. You could really dabble into a uncanny, novel, unprecedented experience. And it's strange that the type weaknesses are not factored in, but I do love the fact that each character has disparate attributes and disparate techniques and is truly unique, because with most fighting games you have characters that are homogeneous to one another, but with this game apparently each character is truly exquisite and novel, to say the least. So I'd rather have less characters that are not carbon copies of each other, that are not doppelgangers of each other, that are not practically homogeneous to one another, than have a bevy of characters that are akin to one another in nearly every facet, but have different color palettes. So it is what it is. But I'll likely relish the game. I'm gratified, I'm buoyant, I'm jubilant. I have no major qualms about this purchase and decision. Hopefully I can take solace in my purchase and decision. I've incurred a $52 net loss. However, I need to move on. I need to cut my losses and just relish every picosecond of my life. So that's all I want to say. Once again, if you buy the game for the Wii U new via eBay or Amazon, expect to receive a Shadow Mewtwo amiibo card that you can scan into the game to upload the character. Then you also will receive a mundane Vapid manual that elucidates the warnings appertaining to utilizing the Wii U for extended periods of time. And then of course you have the disc that should hopefully be intact. Fortunately, the integrity of my disc has not been compromised. If you receive a cracked disc, then take recourse and see if you can return it. If your disc is defective, then take recourse and see if you can return it as well. If the game malfunctions, then take a recourse and request a return immediately. Don't defer problems. You need to rectify them immediately. So hopefully I'll indulge in an amazing, unprecedented, novel, state-of-the-art game experience. I can't wait until omnidirection. Is it omnidirection or omnidirectional treadmills? I guess it's omnidirectional, it sounds. Less erroneous, but I can't wait until omnidirectional treadmills are released so that I can have a more dynamic game experience. But until then, the Wii U tablet controller will suffice. And even though I can't really immerse myself in the game because it's not a virtual reality game, it still has merit nonetheless. And Namco Bandai deserves their accolades for developing a new intellectual property. So that's everything I wanted to divulge for my vocal folds. That's everything I wanted to spew for my vocal folds. I hope that you deemed this video to be enthralling and insightful. If you have any inquiries appertaining to the game, then please leave them in the comment section. If you're an avid devout Pokemon fan, if you relish the Pokemon franchise, if you love to revel in playing fighting games, then I recommend and advocate buying it. However, if you detest and disdain the Pokemon franchise, and if you dislike fighting games, then I recommend abstaining and desisting from buying the game. So that's just my subjective recommendation. I'm famished, I'm dehydrated, I'm weary, I'm lethargic, and I'm debilitated. I need to get some REM sleep, but before I can do that, I need to play the game to see if it works. After I've gauged whether or not it works, then I can take a nap and hopefully rest without others disturbing my slumber. I need to partake in slumbering. I need to intake more nutrients. I need more macronutrients and micronutrients. I need more calories. I need more water. It's roughly 100 degrees in this room. I'm literally melting. Or perhaps I'm exaggerating, but you get the gist of my aforementioned statements. I need more water, food, and sleep and exercise. I need all the above. I also want to record more videos to appease the viewers, so I'll have to get around to that. But I've just been inundated with work, so it's not always feasible and viable to do everything I'd prefer to do. A lot of activities I would prefer to do have to be relegated to the back burner, so I need to defer revenue generating activities until I have spare time. They can't take precedence over my work. I'm curious if you eulogize a game. I'm curious if you eulogize a game. I'm curious if you disdain the game. I'm curious if you relished every facet of the game. I'm curious if you love the game's mechanics, or if you think they're in dire need of needing to be revamped. Just let me know. Please feel free to divulge your sentiments via the comment section beneath this video. Hopefully the game is not egregious, hopefully it's not abysmal, hopefully it's not appalling, hopefully it's not disgraceful, hopefully it doesn't sully the reputation of Namco Bandai. I hope that they can be around in the pending future to churn out more robust, stellar, novel, intricate, unprecedented, state-of-the-art, unique, uncanny video games. Why do I say this game is strange? Why is it peculiar? Well, what other game do you know that was released where Pikachu can stand toe-to-toe with Mega Evolved Pokemon? I know he can in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, but other than that, in the context of Pokemon X and Y, he would get decimated and bludgeoned and thrashed and beaten to a bloody pulp if he was pitted against a Mega Evolved Charizard or a Mega Evolved Gengar. So I'm glad that I could play as Charizard and Machamp and Gengar and Lucario, as well as a slew of other Pokemon that have nostalgic value. Pokemon has intrinsic value and extrinsic value. Why do I say that? The franchise is a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and it appeases me, so the value it offers is truly ineffable, because it's nostalgic, and it's just part of my life. Sentient beings are a compilation of experiences, so Pokemon is literally embedded within my mind, it's embedded within my neurons, so when I fire up my synapses, when I wake up, when I look at a picture of a Pokemon, compilation of thoughts starts stirring up in my mind about my wonderful gratifying experiences with the franchise. I love the Pokemon Tommy figurines, I love the Pokemon video games, I love the books. I think I know the names of the 150 Pokemon by heart. I think I know, let me revamp that. I think I know the monikers of the 150 original Pokemon by heart. I don't know the monikers of the Pokemon in the subsequent generations. I know some of their monikers, but not all. But maybe one day I'll memorize all their monikers, but I likely won't. I mean, memorizing all their monikers, that's no pragmatic value. Plus my content typically doesn't appertain to Pokemon, so it further deters me to want to learn other names. The names are so awkward and irrelevant and out of context that, well, let me just revamp that one final time. I'm used to writing. I typically desist from speaking. I scarcely speak. The names are so awkward, uncanny, and out of context. Since they're so peculiar and bizarre and strange, they're more arduous to memorize than common names that are prevalent throughout society. Pokemon is not ubiquitous. It is not permeated through every aspect of society, metaphorically speaking. Or maybe I should revamp that one final time. I guess you could say, metaphorically speaking, it hasn't penetrated through every facet of society. I mean, Pokemon is a niche market, it's a multi-billion franchise, but it's not a mainstream franchise among older adults. It just appeases kids, appeals to millennials, and may have some merit from the perspective of Generation X. The predecessor generations, the former generations, may be disinclined to buy Pokemon merchandise, so whatever. I'm done ranting and raving. I apologize about earlier. I hope that you deemed this video to be meritorious and stupendous. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Goodbye.